What's up, guys? So I'm sure you guys heard about the news that THQ is back. Yeah, and they bought Deep Silver. So THQ is now the owner of the Saints Row series again, which I find to be very I just find that to be so weird because I never thought I'd ever say that THQ is back and they are the owners of the Saints Row series again, and also Dead Island, I believe. I don't think Deep Silver did anything else. So I mean, Deep Silver being acquired makes sense because Deep Silver is a pretty small company, but they also have very valuable IPs, which is Dead Island and Saints Row. I don't know if they have anything else. I honestly don't know, but that's really what they're known for. So Saints Row. Okay, so we heard the news from this acquisition that they plan on making another Saints Row game. Here's the thing. I am not excited about this news because they could very well do what they've been doing for years, Volition, and continuously fuck over the original Saints Row fans, the OG Saints Row fans, the Saints Row 1 and 2 fans that loved the way the game was presented. They loved open world, street crime, drama, story that they had in the original Saints Row games, and just how much content was in the game, man. You had layered clothing, you had, deep character customization, and it was just such an amazing experience, especially Saints Row 2. Saints Row 2 is just such a content-rich game. It's probably the best open-world sandbox game that I have ever played, to be honest with you. I have never played a better open-world sandbox game. I have played all the GTAs. I have played all the other Saints Row games. I have played Sleeping Dogs, Watch Dogs 2, L.A. Noire, those type of games. I played almost every single one of them, and I have to say that this game is the best one out of all of those type of games. Then Saints Row 3 came along, and it just completely changed the way that a Saints Row game was. In a bad way, too. It just completely changed the series' identity to be, it used to be a mixture of, funny, ridiculous moments and also a lot of serious, heartfelt moments, like, Carlos getting killed, getting, all the sad stuff. There's a lot of sad things that happen in both Saints Row games, the original ones. Lynn getting killed. They just completely got rid of the serious aspects of the game and just made it completely ridiculous to the point where it's oh my god, it feels more like a spin-off than a sequel. That's what Saints Row 3 was. And then Saints Row 4 took it to 11 and had aliens invading Earth, and you go from the leader of a street gang to the president of the United States that is stopping aliens from invading. What the fuck? So, I am, oh my god, I'm not going to get into that whole thing again. What I will say, when it comes to Saints Row 5 better damn well be more like the first two Saints Row games and a lot less like the last two Saints Row games. The last two Saints Row games, I don't care what anyone says, those games were garbage. Absolute garbage, at least in comparison to the first two games. If those two games were on their own and they weren't in the Saints Row series, then I would have whatever opinion on them, right? I would judge those games on their own merit. But I can't help it but compare to the original Saints Row games because they are considered a part of the Saints Row series. So these games, which are supposed to be sequels and supposed to be follow-ups to the original games, are they're a disgrace. They're a complete disgrace to the original two. There's no comparison when it comes to the quality of the games and how fun the games are and how well they play. There's no comparison. You can argue that Saints Row 3 and 4 are more fun because you have these weird guns that you could shoot octopus tentacles up in the air, and all these weird, all those other weird, the dubstep gun and all this other weird shit. You can make the argument that those games are more fun because of that. But when you beat the story, what can you do in the game? There's so much more post end game content in the original two games. Well, maybe not the first one, but Saints Row 2. There's just so much end game content, and there's so much side mission content, so much content that's in Saints Row 2. It beats the shit out of Saints Row 3 and 4. Beats the shit out of it. And those games just feel like they're just awful, honestly. They're just really bad games. They're maybe on their own they're good video games, but as part of the Saints Row series, they're awful. They're really bad. So if Saints Row 5 is aliens or anything like that, I'm out. I'm out. I am not going to buy that game. I am just going to completely write off Volition like they don't exist anymore because they would just be dead to me at that point. They already are at this point, honestly. But, I mean, when it comes to making Saints Row 5, having it just the same ridiculous bullshit they've been doing, at that point, they would be truly dead to me. With Saints Row 3, I was just extremely disappointed. But then when Saints Row 4 came out, I was just devastated. I'm like, what happened to my favorite series? So if Saints Row 5 is the same exact thing with the ridiculous nonsense and no features as well. There's no content in Saints Row 3 and 4. There's absolutely no content. No content whatsoever. The story means nothing, right? And, especially, when you have a game that has no competitive multiplayer, because they had that in Saints Row 1 and 2. So when Saints Row 3 and 4 had no competitive multiplayer, the story meant a lot more than it would in the older games. But instead of improving upon the story and making it a lot better than the other two games, the story is just nothing. The story's not there, right? The gameplay is what the game is most known for, not the story. The story means nothing at this point. So, man, the Saints Row 5, whenever it comes, it better be like the original 2, especially Saints Row 2. It should be more like Saints Row 2, less like 3 and 4. Otherwise, Volition, you're dead to me.